Let's zoom this in a little bit. I want to see where exactly that rotation is. I keep saying this, it gets kind of wonky the further away you get from that radar site, which it really does. And then we don't have any further radar products that go out further than basically Fort Hood, but the Fort Hood one does a really good job at basically stretching for most of central Texas. So that's that confirmed tornado. There it is. I'm going to leave those counties up for everybody to kind of get an idea of where it's going. And I'm teeter-tottering back and forth from reflectivity to our correlation coefficient product. That's essentially the debris that we can see being lofted by this tornado. And again, I'm going to keep just kind of fanning this back and forth. It could be some stuff right there. Once you start to get into this kind of yellowish green color, that could be some stuff that was lofted, I mean, thousands of feet up in the air. It could take a little tornado. It could be an EF0 tornado, but when it lofts debris, it lofts it miles above your head. I mean, it's huge. So some of these greens and some of these yellows, these kind of dark, deep yellows, that could be some stuff being lofted by the tornado itself. You start to get into some radar clutter down there. You got to be careful of that when it comes to radar. So I'm keeping a close eye on this. Let's go ahead and put up our reflectivity. Let's also check out the hail too. The tornado is a big threat, but here's the hail swath. They put this at a tornado as a tornado warning for limestone, but the hail did not stop. So watch out for that. Yeah, places like Fair Oaks, moving straight into Donnie, getting hammered with rain, with lightning, hail, very gusty winds too. Okay. Okay, here's where I'm going to keep it at once again. Looks like for the most part this pushed out of limestone. That for the most part looks like it pushed out of limestone. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut Limestone County from this tornado warning. But once again, I'm going to put a tracker on here just to get everybody's bearing set. Moving straight into Freestone, southern Freestone, up into northern parts of Leon County. Let me edit this really quick, fan that out. There we go. Marshy Springs here in 10 minutes. That was a confirmed tornado at one point. Yeah, that was a confirmed tornado at one point. So this is pushing out of limestone. Confirmed tornado, Marshy Springs at 616, Buffalo at 617, Concord at 620. Again, this is all pushing into Freestone and into Limestone County. So, since the majority of this rotation, for the most part, looks to be out of limestone, I bet they're going to cut that warning early for limestone. It goes until 6:30, but they'll continue it for Freestone and for Leon. So, I'm going to backtrack this. Let's kind of reset the scene here, see what's been going on. Okay, so we have now a couple severe thunderstorm warnings for portions of central Texas. Here comes that dry line. I was talking about it. Convection number 1, still pushing out of here. I mean, this is the last of it. This was the only storm that basically popped severe from Falls to Limestone. Now it's a tornado warning. That's moving out of the area. That's going to move up towards the Tyler viewing area. So make sure to tune into some of their news stations once it pushes away from us and if it holds up as well. That's convection number 1. Here's round number 2. That's the dry line pushing in. We now have a severe thunderstorm warning for Mills, towards Bosque, towards Hamilton, down towards Lampasas, and towards Gatesville. So there's 2 separate storms. Essentially, Bosque County, you're under severe thunderstorm warning until about 7 o'clock tonight. Let me go ahead and switch radar products on here. Until about 7 o'clock tonight. Hamilton, Mills, Lampasas, and Coryell, also 7 o'clock tonight, but it's with a different cell. There's a different cell down here. So let me backtrack this chat really quick just to make sure I know where this is headed. We're going to start with Bosque County first. So this storm, it's moving east, and it's moving at 40 miles per hour. And the reason why it's severe, you have 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and half-dollar size hail. Geez, yeah. Okay, Bosque County, there's your hail. That's going to move in here into Walnut Springs, Brazos Point, within the next several minutes or so. There's that storm. All right, let's go ahead. East at 40. Well, I'm actually going to put a different tracker on it. Here we go. East at 40, there's Bosque County. Again, this is kind of the tipping edge of our viewing area. And then it moves up into portions of the Dallas-Fort Worth viewing area. Okay. Again, if you hear me go quiet, I'm reading this National Weather Service chat. I'm also watching for the sign of rotation, so... Nope, we're good on this storm. This is just a hail threat. Could be seeing half-dollar size hail with this storm. A lot of lightning, a lot of rain. Especially if it sits over an area for a certain amount of time. You could potentially see some flooding issues with that. So these are supercells. These are little discrete supercells that are basically developing from this dry line. And it's got a lot of energy in the atmosphere to work with, despite all the rain that we had maybe along I-35 and east of that. That did nothing in terms of stopping the severe weather threat. So once again, we're watching that severe thunderstorm warning for Mills over towards Hamilton, Lampasas, and Coryell. This is going to be the southeastern part of Mills, southwestern part of Hamilton, a big portion of the northeastern part of Lampasas moving straight into the northwestern part of Coryell. I'm going to put a tracker on this as soon as I get an idea as to what direction it's moving. I'm going to have to guess east. Okay, and within this cell, we got quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So a lot of energy with this cell as well. Let's go ahead and put a tracker on this too. And this is the radar scan over the last couple minutes. Never mind. We're just going to keep it plain and simple like this. So this is moving, let's see, moving east at 35. So I'm going to put this on the very, very tip of it. Point it east at 35. I'll go 36 for fun. Okay, so this cell is basically cutting these four corner regions from Mills to Hamilton to Lampasas. Lampasas is down here. Here's Coryell County. Here's Hamilton. Here's Mills. So essentially this storm, or here's Hamilton, here's Mills. Essentially this storm moving to the east at a pretty slow clip, east at 35 miles per hour. The community of Bee House, definitely make sure to find that safe place. Again, this is not a tornado warned storm. It's a severe thunderstorm warning. So you're going to see some very brief heavy downpour with this. I mean, quick and out of here. You're also going to see 60-mile-per-hour winds. Pearl, this is moving in your direction in about 15 minutes or so. This severe thunderstorm warning expires at about 7 o'clock tonight as it continues to trek off to the east. Okay. Okay, the good thing to note, here's what I'm looking at, is that tornado that briefly touched down in Limestone looks to be like it was in primarily rural areas, but they're still going to check for structural damage, tree limb damage, tree branches basically. So there's your couple of thunderstorms that we're watching. Again, I'm going to reset the scene here with this whole system moving in. We now, and have been, under a tornado watch for portions of the viewing area. If you're in any of these viewing areas across our area, you're under a tornado watch in the yellow. San Saba has been let to expire. So San Saba is up. No more tornado watch in that area, but it does include, once again, Coryell, Bell County, and McLennan County, further to the east, a little bit to the south, and up to the north and parts of northern Texas into even southern Oklahoma too. They're also getting some severe weather. So the main threats with these showers and storms moving in, once these storms strengthen, it's just been kind of the same thing the last several hours from what I've been forecasting and what I've been watching. It was going to be a big hail threat, which it already is, especially with this storm right here. Let me see if I can put a double tracker on it. Let's see, just for Bosque, again, this just barely clips the northern part of our viewing area. But we kind of have a cluster of storms off to the west of McLennan County that are moving in our direction. And there's a lot of low-level shear in the atmosphere too. I talked about this earlier, but basically you have winds out of the south at the surface, but get several miles up into the atmosphere in the mid and upper levels. Then you're going to see winds turn out of the west. So that's basically, and that's what I'm going to be worried about and kind of watching and eyeing for the rest of tonight until we're done with severe weather here in central Texas. But any of these storms that move in here are going to have the potential to rotate. South wind at the surface, west wind in the upper levels. That's going to pick that storm up and rotate it. And if it strengthens, it'll drop a wall cloud. That's your rain-free base. And then it'll drop a tornado if it does. So again, the only tornado warning we're still eyeing, we're keeping our eye on these severe thunderstorm warnings. It's mainly a hail threat, as well as some pretty gusty winds. This looks like it's going to move right into, I'm looking at Coryell County. So the storm developed in a really weird area. It's like right over 4 different counties. So this is Lampasas. This severe thunderstorm is moving straight over. It's right over Fabian Crossing. That's going to move straight into Bee House, into Pearl. Further downstream, that's all in Coryell County. That'll continue to push off, possibly in Gatesville if it holds up. Fort Gates. Again, at this moment, it just looks to be a hail threat. So we're going to keep our eye on that. Let me switch back to this tornado-warned storm that was in Limestone that I'm surprised that they have not gotten rid of yet, the tornado warning, at least for Limestone, because it's basically out of the area. So yeah, we're still watching that tornado-warned storm. That could be some, right there, this kind of yellow color. You start to get into Freestone and Leon County. That's like the very eastern edge of our viewing area, but still, that could be essentially, that could essentially be some debris that storm or that tornado at one point is picking up. So they issued once again a tornado warning until 7 o'clock for Freestone and for Limestone. In particular, let me click on this really quick. In particular, this is going to be for southeastern Freestone County and northern Leon County. Southeastern Freestone, northern Leon. I bet they'll expire this for Limestone because they're basically done with their severe weather threat. But Limestone, you had that tornado touch down for just a minute down to the south. And for the most part, that cell's up and out of here. But don't let your guard down just yet, because we still have all this stuff behind us that we're working with. There's only 2 cells at this moment that are popping up, but these are expected to be really, really strong, especially if any more develop and kind of fill in between. I'm going to show you what we were expecting today. And let me take this off really quick. So here's what we were expecting. An enhanced risk. As of yesterday, this time yesterday, the Storm Prediction Center, they forecasted us to be in a slight risk. It was basically from like northern McLennan County, Clifton, Mejia, Hillsborough up to the north. And then they expanded that slight risk and also popped that enhanced risk for any strong thunderstorms. So that thunderstorm, I'm going to pull up that map here in just a minute. I kind of wanted to show you what we're working with here in terms of severe weather. An enhanced risk from northern Coryell to McLennan to Limestone and north of that. We have the potential to see some great supercells with this, which we are already starting to see. They're starting to pop up. And if any of these supercells strengthen, these are kind of discrete. if you ask me, a discrete supercell. But we're going to get some rotating updrafts. And these are going to be long-lived supercells too. So like I said, what I have circled is the dry line. First round of convection east of I-35, it's gone. Second round of convection, here it is. So we're still working with these two cells. These are all developing along a dry line. And the dry line is going to be kind of like our worries for the next couple days. It's going to be kind of the root of all of our problems because it's not going to move anywhere. It's going to teeter and totter back and forth with us until about Tuesday. And then we have a cold front that moves in Tuesday night into Wednesday. That'll get rid of that dry line, but we could see some more showers pop up tomorrow. I'll have more coming up tonight at 9 o'clock on Fox 44 News. But for the most part, it looks like the Weather Service has dropped They have dropped the severe thunderstorm warning for Hamilton and Mills. Hamilton and Mills, you are out of any sort of warnings. We're still hanging on to a warning for Lampasas and for Coryell, and it looks like the one in Lampasas has acquired some rotation. And so I'm going to watch that one closely. Let me go ahead and put on our velocity scanner. Let's see what we can do here. Okay. I mean, here's our severe weather that we're working with. This is what we've been forecasting basically since Friday. So that's what I'm watching is some rotation in Lampasas. Okay. We're going to keep this up for just a minute. We're going to put on another storm tracker so everybody kind of gets their bearings set. These are moving slow. These are slow movers. East at 35. They could at least pick up a little bit of speed for us, but this cell is moving straight into B House. It's been sitting over Fabian Crossing in Lampasas County for the last several radar scans. So especially with a slow mover like this, you're going to get a lot of rainfall with this. And you can kind of see from what I can tell, this storm is starting to develop like a little tail down here. And if it continues to strengthen, if it continues to develop that little tail, that's your classic supercell. So we're going to continue to monitor that. That's going to push into Permella at 625, Slater at 626, King at 629, and Arnett at 630. This will eventually move into Gatesville. Gatesville at 645. So we have several minutes until then. Okay, the Weather Service is still hanging on to that tornado-warned storm in Limestone. They should be clearing it by now, but I bet they have their hands full when it comes to everything that's going on. So, yeah, that tornado-warned storm that was off in Limestone County, it's now in southern Freestone, northern Leon. The bulk of the heaviest precipitation, the bulk of convection, where you're seeing a lot of lightning, is in between Concord and Buffalo right now. Still looking at some hail. Also still looking at some very gusty winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour. Okay, so we're still going to keep an eye on this. We're going to stay here until this tornado-warned storm clears Limestone County. But for the most part, it's basically cleared Limestone. I'm just going to wait to get the okay from the National Weather Service. And then we're going to keep our eyes on this one because they are saying that it does have a little bit of rotation with it. And I'm going to backtrack this velocity scanner a couple minutes just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. That's some heavy rain too. Let's check the hail just to make sure. A little bit of hail, inch in diameter. Heavy rain, gusty winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour. A lot of lightning. Again, if these storms, if they don't pick up some speed and kind of sit over an area for quite some time, that's going to be an issue in terms of flooding, especially for low-lying, poor drainage areas. So this is just kind of the middle of our severe weather, unsettled weather pattern that we've had. We had that severe weather threat on Friday. That was that cold front. If you remember, it brought a tornado watch for portions of the viewing area. I think it was just Falls, Limestone, Corsicana, and north of that. That brought that to the area on Friday. a huge swath of severe weather for parts of the Midwest that they're actually still recovering from. That was a huge, major severe weather event. And that cold front, so here's why we're seeing all this stuff. That cold front, it finally made it down into the Gulf Coast, what was it, Friday night or so. It stayed down in the Gulf Coast on Saturday. We had high pressure take over, beautiful day on Saturday. A little bit of a different story for today because that cold front that brought all that severe weather, it finally lifted to the north as a warm front here across central Texas and parts of northern Texas into southern Oklahoma. We combine that with a dry line. That's why these cells are starting to pop up, especially off to our west, still hanging on to that severe thunderstorm warning from Lampasas moving into northwestern Coryell. That's one of the cells that we're watching. And essentially, we have those two things, and then on top of that, we do have a little disturbance that moved in from west to east earlier this afternoon. That's what fired up the convection at first. Saw a little bit of showers, a couple of thunderstorms. I think the Waco Regional Airport received 4/100ths of an inch from a little shower that moved in. There were a couple of thunderstorms up in Hillsboro, just south of Hillsboro, and Corsicana earlier today. And so essentially what that did, it basically didn't do anything. The only thing that brought severe weather to us, the only cell that was basically severe weather with that first round of convection was this one off in Limestone, which they need to go ahead and cancel that because there's nothing in Limestone anymore. So what that did, nothing for the atmosphere. They actually saw a clearing up in North Texas. Once that disturbance moved in, it moved out, it kind of cleared skies up in that direction, which is not a good thing when you have severe weather coming in, especially on an afternoon like this, because sunshine, solar energy, helps to just destabilize the atmosphere, which essentially means those thunderstorms basically can develop a lot faster than we thought. So that's what we're watching right now. That dry line out to our west is popping a cell just north of Bosque and into Lampasas and Coryell. This cell has acquired a little bit of rotation with it. Let me go ahead and put up our storm relative velocity product. That's your winds in and your winds up inside the thunderstorm. You can kind of get a good view as to if it's rotating or not. I'm not seeing anything too impressive, but I'm not letting my guard down. Anyways, Bosque County still under that severe thunderstorm warning. Let me go ahead and clear this out. Northern Bosque County, I mean, we start to get to the point where we are pushing into the Fort Worth market. But just for everybody that may be watching over here, I'm going to go ahead and put this storm tracker on for those areas over here. That's going to move straight into Hill County as well. Let me fan this out just a little bit further. Yep, so this thunderstorm, severe thunderstorm, has some hail with it. Looks like hail could be about 1 inch in diameter, maybe a little bit bigger than that. Hail, a lot of lightning, a lot of rain, and very gusty winds, 60 to 70. That's going to be moving in this direction over towards Blanton, into Mayfield, into Woodbury. This is all in Hill County. Carl's Corner, it'll move. It looks like it's just going to move right over the northern part of Hillsboro. Okay, still getting some reports from that severe warned storm, or tornado warned storm, I should say, off to our very, very east. This is it's basically just riding the county line of Freestone and Leon. Let's see. They were seeing a rotating wall cloud. It's north. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is for Lampasas. I was reading one, then I jumped to the other. There's a train spotter that's just 15 miles north of Lampasas. And they're seeing rapidly rotating extremely low. Okay. Extremely low mesocyclone. That's your rain-free base. Remember I was talking about that? That's your wall cloud. And they said that twice. Okay. Okay, we're going to keep an eye on this. This one is rotating. It's moving from Lampasas into Coriel. Again, rotation on my end doesn't look super impressive. These are just trained spotters that are eyeing this certain thunderstorm. And we have them all over the place too. If you're wanting to ever be a trained spotter for the National Weather Service or for us, you have to take a class. They have a couple of them that they have up in Fort Worth, certain counties up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This thunderstorm, winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour. It's a ton of energy within this storm. It's just kind of basically sucking up a lot of this energy out around it. We got very warm, moist air, okay? That's not helping. We have our lift. There's three key ingredients that thunderstorms need to really develop. You need moisture, you need lift, and we have that lift across that dry line right there. That continues to push off to the east. That's moving into Arnett right now. Where's Arnett? There we go. It's going to be just to the north of Arnett. I kind of made this storm tracker just a little bit further than I needed to, but that'll move straight into Gatesville at about 6:43. And there could be some hail in this. Like I said, that hail could be increasing. I'm going to go ahead and put that hail swath back on it just to get a good idea of what we're looking at. Yeah, a little bit of hail in between Bee House and Adamsville over towards Fabian Crossing. Okay, there's no mention of any sort of rotation yet with this severe warned storm, but the Weather Service did mention something not too long ago, so we're going to keep our eyes on this. It could be where that rotation is right there. Or that could be some radar clutter. You're going to hear me talk a lot. I'm going to do a lot of thinking out loud because I want to keep you guys informed. Okay. So, clearing that, let's get rid of that. Here's Lampasas, and here's the county line to Coriel. This is going to move straight into Coriel. I'm going to back this up just a little bit because if this stays, and if it strengthens, if it continues the way it is, that'll move right into McLennan County. And given the atmospheric conditions, we have the instability, we have that moisture, we have that uplift. That was the three things I was talking about, and then my mind went straight over my head. That's the three things you need. That's the three things we have here across Central Texas. So if it continues to trek off to the east, we're going to watch that possibly develop a little bit more. We could get a severe warned storm downstream here in McLennan County. It looks like it would be south of Waco if I had to guess. Okay, so at this time, we're still looking, that Limestone tornado warning. Everybody out in Limestone, you are in the clear. That tornado warning has been let to expire. We're hanging on to that severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning for, sorry, I'm getting all over the place. Severe thunderstorm warning for Lampasas and for Coriel. There we go. I was working with our radar. It was getting a little crazy on me. Okay, so these two cells are what I'm eyeing. They're just severe warned at this time. And I don't know, with Dean, with the okay, you want me to keep going on this, or you want me to go ahead and get off and then keep going? Okay, we're going to keep going with this. Severe warned storm, Lampasas, Coriel. This is moving to the northeast, or moving to the east at about 35 miles per hour. Up in northeastern Lampasas and the northwestern side of Coriel. This will move straight over Gatesville, and if it keeps going, it'll move straight into Moody, into Lorena, into Hewitt, just south of Waco. Here's that other cell I'm watching, severe warned. Okay, that's going to continue to push off to the east. This dry line's moving east. This disturbance is moving east, so that's what these storms are doing, despite the one that we saw earlier this afternoon, the convection earlier, that was moving to the northeast. So that'll move straight into Hillsborough, in between Itasca and Hillsborough. So we're going to watch those. We're going to keep an eye on those. Okay. And see if they said anything else about these two storms. Yeah, for the most part, hail is a big problem, especially with this storm. Northern Bosque, this is moving in between Walnut Springs. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, Dean, Iredell. In Northern Bosque, that's a Iredell, sorry. Again, I apologize if my grammar is off in terms of calling out different communities and counties across the area. But yeah, that's a lot of hail. Again, these thunderstorms just contain just insane strength when it comes to these updrafts. And these updrafts are just hoisting these rain droplets that collide with one another, and then they freeze at a certain level in the atmosphere, and they just keep colliding back and forth until that storm can no longer hold that hailstone, and then it falls to the ground. So still looking at about a quarter hail in diameter, a quarter size, literally the size of a quarter. I'm going to go ahead and also look at the direction of this storm. I think it still continues to push off to the east at this moment, but let me just kind of get my bearings set here really quick. Again, if I go quiet, it's because I'm reading this weather service chat. There's a lot of people, a lot of meteorologists up to our north, and they, text in this chat, so I got to make sure I don't miss anything. Yep, still moving east at 35 for both these storms. Okay, so that's the Bosque County storm. That's moving in this direction. 35, I'm going to go 36 to add some flavor. Okay, so that's going to move into Lakeside Village at 6:44, so in about 10 minutes. Just a severe warned storm, but still treat it as if you need to get inside, because if this continues to produce a lot of hail, like it's held up from several radar scans back, it's basically held up. So this will continue to pose a hail threat and a very gusty wind threat. We're talking about a wind speed 60 to 70 miles per hour moving to the east, and that'll continually just creep off into the northern part of Hill County. So a lot of lightning in the storm, a lot of rain. If you have any reports, if you can get some safe reports, maybe some hail sizes, go ahead and send them to our social media at Fox 44 News. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter. You can even email it to us. You can email it to me, or even send it to me on social media. We don't want you to go out in the storm and start taking pictures for us. Don't do that. That's very dangerous. So that's cell number 1. Here's cell number 2. And again, I'm kind of scooting back and forth from the weather wall to the computer over to the National Weather Service chat, just to get kind of an idea of what's going on. So yeah, the Weather Service still has issued that tornado warning for Freestone and for Leon. Again, that's going to move basically out of our area into the, looks like it's going to be the Tyler market. Is that correct, Dean? Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so still eyeing this supercell down to our south. It's still posed a severe thunderstorm risk for Lampasas and for Coryell. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of end this for Lampasas here soon. I'm also going to check the inbound and outbound winds within this storm. And I'm going to play it back and forth just so I can kind of get an idea as to what I am looking at. Okay, never mind. So, there looks to be a little bit of rotation here. Again, the National Weather Service did say that some rotation acquired with this storm. This is moving straight into Coryell. If I had to guess if there's going to be any rotation, it's going to be within this little area. That could be a radar error. Sometimes you get scans that basically make it look like it's rotating, but it's really not. So that's why you have to, that's why I continually push this, this radar product back and forth like this, just to get an idea. So there could be some rotation in between. Again, if I butcher this, I apologize. Izoro and Rumley, this is just to the very, very far east of Lampasas, and this will move straight into Coryell. That rotation looks like it's going to move south of Gatesville, but here's the thing. Okay, if there's still rotation within the cell, you're still going to get some rain. That's what the our reflectivity looks like. So here we go. Let me see what they said. Still status quo in the bus. Okay, so both of these cells still have required some sort of rotation. It's still present in the mid-levels, meaning it's several thousand feet above us. But they've struggled to organize. So the organization of both of these is not super impressive for the Weather Service to say, hey, we need to put a tornado warning on that. So they're going to keep it as a severe thunderstorm warning for now, but we're going to continue to eye it. That could be a radar error. So anyways, storm tracker on this. Let's get this going. A lot of lightning, a lot of rain. I keep saying that. These are supercells. These are discrete supercells. This is moving to the east at roughly 35 miles per hour straight into Coryell County. And that'll eventually move into southern McLennan County if it holds up. Given the atmospheric conditions, it's more than likely get a hold of. So here's your latest storm tracker. This is the one in Coryell. Okay, this is going to move into Pidcoke at 6:41. So within about 2 to 3 minutes. Just make sure to get inside once the cell gets to your location, wherever this wherever your location is on the storm tracker, if you happen to be in it. This is going to skirt just to the south, just barely. I mean, it'll move over Gatesville, but the heaviest convection is going to be down to the south. But still, you don't want to be outdoors or walking from your car to a parking lot, you know, or from Walmart to your car or whatnot, wherever you are, Target. You don't want to be outside, especially when there's a ton of lightning within this. I toned back the lightning just a little bit because our product has a tendency to show all of the lightning strikes within an hour, and it gets to basically kind of hurt your head a little bit. So I toned back these just a little bit. So we're still seeing a lot of lightning. This pink popping up, that pink color, it's almost like a magenta color. That's some really, really heavy rainfall. Embedded in that, that's that hail. So once again, hail is a primary concern. And those gusty winds. So the Weather Service is also saying they've been getting recent reports of a rotating wall cloud near Uradell and Bosque. Okay. So that's one we were just eyeing. So we're basically going to share our severe weather coverage kind of back and forth with these two different cells. They seem to be the most prominent so far. Let me pull this all the way out, kind of reset the scene of what's going on. We currently only have two big storm cells moving in and moving out. So there's one up in Bosque. This is moving over northern Bosque. That'll move straight into Hillsborough. So if you can hear me in Hillsborough, you get a thunderstorm coming your way. It'll more likely be severe given the certain circumstances over Bosque. It's going to be a hail threat. It's also going to be a gusty wind threat. And they're talking about this one rotating. So they could drop a tornado warning on this, moving straight into Hill County. So that's number one. Here's number two, just southwest of Gatesville, moving from Lampasas into Coryell County. Again, this continues to shove off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. There we go again, another radar scan. Those are the two cells that we only have here across central Texas, but we've been eyeing this for the last couple days. Whether it's 1 cell, 2 cell, 5 cells, it's still going to be severe warned. So there you go. That's all against a dry line, all along a dry line, moving in to the area. Ton of lightning with this. Also, we're seeing a lot of heavy rainfall. Okay, yep, they got rid of Lampasas. They allowed that severe thunderstorm warning in Lampasas to expire. They're going to continue Coryell until 7 o'clock, so we have another 15 minutes or so. I wouldn't be surprised if they extend that given the nature and the circumstances of this certain cell. So let's jump back and forth. I was looking at Bosque and then I kind of reset the scene. I got off track here. Let's look at Bosque. We're going to get rid of the lightning, and we're going to pull up the storm relative velocity. So this is your inbound and your outbound winds. I'm going to change the different radar areas. I'm going to keep it with Fort Worth as of right now. So there was a storm spotter that was, where were they? They were near Erdell in northern Bosque. Again, there's a lot of people typing in this chat, so it kind of takes me a second to find what I was. There we go. Recent reports of rotating wall cloud near Erdell in Bosque County. So nothing confirmed, but if I had to guess where that wall cloud was, whoever saw it, one of the train spotters, it has to be like in this direction. Moving pretty slow east at 35. If that holds up, that'll continue into possibly a tornado warned storm. It's still just a severe warned storm, and we have that going until 7 o'clock tonight for Bosque. They could extend that given the circumstances and how slow it is, but if that continues, that'll move straight just to the south of Hill County. So, ooh, a little too fast. Let's go like this, and then we're going to pull this up really quick. Pull this out. And this is for the rotation that I'm watching. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of that because it's not been radar confirmed. So we're going to go just full-blown thunderstorm, lightning, thunder, everything. Here's where it's coming. Okay, so here it goes, straight into hill. I'm actually going to extend this further downstream because for the most part it looks like it's going to hold up. So that'll move into Lakeside Village. This is Bosque County at 647. That'll also move into Huron at 701. Live Oak Resorts at 701 as well. It's going to ride just over the northern portion of the Bosque County line into the northern part of the Hill County line, and then it's going to keep stretching to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So Red Hill at 706. I'm going to back out of this too so you can get a better idea. This will move into Hillsboro at some point. Probably, if I had to guess, in about 15, 20 minutes or so. Severe warned at this time. Let me make sure nobody else is saying anything on the chat at this moment. Nope, we're still going to keep the risk for some hail, quarter size in diameter, 60 to 65 mile per hour winds. Let's go ahead and put up our hail swath. Yeah, geez. Like I said, when you start getting to these colors that have these dark purples, this is our hail swath. So this is what the thunderstorm has basically dropped, all this hail over the last several minutes. When you start to get into these kind of dark purple colors, that's some big hail. And that's a lot of hail too. It could be a little bit more than a quarter size. It could be maybe a half dollar size if I had to guess. So that's the Bosque County storm. We're still keeping our eye on it. Still going to move in that direction. I'm actually going to fan this out. That looks like a supercell to me. I mean, of course, it's kind of the main threat for weather that we're going to see. We're going to be supercell thunderstorms, and supercells are more than capable of producing a tornado, especially given the certain atmospheric characteristics. There's a lot of moisture. That warm front lifted up to the north in a time span of a day. So that lifted up to the north. That brought dew points in the 60s and 70s for portions of central Texas. I'm going to exit out of this. We still have that tornado watch for a lot of the viewing area. And it actually looks like they got rid of the tornado watch for Mills. So I'm going to go ahead and give the all clear to San Saba and to Mills, into Mills County. Everywhere else, we're still under that tornado watch until 11 o'clock. After 11 o'clock, all this weather should be out of here and we should be good. I'm going to go about 9, 10 o'clock for us here, mainly along I-35. Could be a little bit further off to the east. They'll still see maybe some convection, especially with those two cells we have ongoing. But National Weather Service has gotten rid of that tornado watch for Mills and for San Saba County. So you guys are in the clear tonight. You don't have to worry about weather.